Hi, I'm Flynn. I play a lot of video games and figured I'd talk about them. Here's what I played in January 2024. I started the month with playing through Resident Evil 4 Remake. I'm a fan of the original Resident Evil 4, specifically the Wii version, so I didn't really see the point in remaking this game. Having played it, it beats out the original for my favorite in the series. I loved almost everything about this remake. I do miss the cheesier elements that got cut out, but I feel like they more than make up for it. The remake especially excels in writing. For example, Louise and Ashley feel a lot more developed and are much more likable than they were in the original. The gameplay feels a lot better, as expected from a modern Resident Evil game. As much as I love the original, the controls definitely take some getting used to, which is not an issue with the more natural controls and movement of the remake. This game is fantastic, would highly recommend it to anyone, whether you've played the original or not. Next up is Final Fantasy XVI. This game wasn't really on my radar before receiving it for Christmas. Something about the setting, characters, and story didn't really appeal to me from the trailers. Now that I've played it, I'm glad to say I was wrong. I really enjoyed the story in a way I didn't expect based on the trailers. The characters were also really enjoyable, though I feel some didn't leave as big of an impression as they should have, most notably with the main antagonist. As for the combat, I loved it, though it's not quite what I want from a Final Fantasy game. I would have preferred it to play similarly to the Final Fantasy VII Remake series, or to be outright turn-based, but the combat's still really fun. I just would have preferred it to be more RPG than action. Overall, I wouldn't quite call this game one of my favorites, but I would definitely recommend it. Next up is Bayonetta 3, which I've played up to stage 3 in. It's been decent so far. Combat is fun as always. I like that they've incorporated demon summoning into basic combat, though the camera is not always the best with it. The story's been serviceable so far, though I've not heard good about the back half of the game. Stage 3 ended with a boss battle between giant monsters, which was one of the worst things I've ever played. Everything is far too slow for combat that's basically just rock, paper, scissors. Genuinely not sure what they were thinking with that. This was made especially worse since I was playing Final Fantasy at the same time, which also does giant monster battles, which are so much better in that game. I hope there's not a ton of those fights throughout this game. The rest of the game's been pretty good, at least. Next up is Sonic Superstars, which I've played the first 8 zones of. It sure is a classic Sonic game. It plays like it should. Level design hasn't been especially noteworthy or anything, but it's not bad at least. The bosses, however, are pretty bad. They all take way too long to be open for attacks. Most bosses take around 4 minutes, which is way too long for a classic Sonic game. Lastly, the soundtrack is fine. Some tracks are great, others not so much. Overall, this game is fine. I'd recommend it to fans of classic Sonic games, though I wouldn't to anyone beyond that. Next up is Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which I played around an hour of. I just played through Persona 5 Tactica right before getting this game, so I'm not exactly in a rush to play something so similar. Also, I'm not especially a fan of some of the creative decisions, notably the voice acting and making the rabbits talk. They just seem like strange choices. The game hasn't really grabbed me so far, but I definitely plan on giving this game a proper shot when I'm not actively playing through like 4 other games. Next, I played the demo for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I really liked it. It definitely feels like the Rayman Legends team makes a Metroid Dread type game, which is a really good idea if you ask me. I'll definitely be picking this one up at some point. Next up, I played some Smash Ultimate for the new Spirit events. Really not sure why they came back to it after so long, but I'll take it. I really enjoyed Spirit battles, so I'll gladly play some more. Really cool that the second batch had spirits for Hades and 13 Sentinels. I expected to get mostly just Nintendo spirits, so getting something else is really cool. Next up, I'll briefly mention the online games I played. I've played Splatoon 3 pretty consistently since launch, and I continued to do so this past month. The game didn't receive any notable updates, so I don't really have much to say. I'm excited for Side Order next month, though. Now for the only other online game I played, Fortnite Festival. I'm surprised at just how many songs were added this month. I was expecting like maybe 6, but we got 15. It's fun having new free Rock Band content every Thursday night, and I like that the amount of songs has been unpredictable. Lastly, I picked up a copy of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth at launch. One of like 3 physical PS5 copies that were available where I live for some reason. Not sure what happened there. I won't go too deep into it this month, but I adore the game so far. Yakuza Like a Dragon is one of my favorite games of all time, and this game absolutely lives up to the hype so far. The only complaint I have so far is that the intro is a bit slow, taking over 5 hours of mostly dialogue before the main storyline even shows up. But I don't even mind, these characters are so enjoyable that I'd gladly watch 5 hours of them just existing. I would definitely recommend you play Yakuza Like a Dragon first, but Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is incredible so far. Anyways, that's all I played this month. Feel free to tell me your thoughts or what you've been playing in the comments. See you next month, where I might just drop the format and do a solo review of Infinite Wealth.